So you can get through a solo without getting lost most of the time, but that makes you afraid to take solos all of the time. Because the reality is, if the band looks at you and it's your turn to play a solo that's 32 bars or longer, the thing is, if you don't feel confident that you're going to get through that solo without getting lost, you're not going to play your best. And you have to show up with your best at every single solo so that you can get called back, you get started to play some gigs, and you can become a complete jazz musician. So if this is happening to you where you're not certain if you're going to get lost in the form or not, it's probably because you need to develop your internal sense of phrasing, okay? So phrasing is like musical sentences. It's not like the words and the ideas that you're playing, right? Like licks are the ideas that you're playing. How you put them together in a 4-bar phrase, in a 6-bar phrase, in an 8-bar phrase, that's what phrasing is, okay? And we need to internalize our sense of phrasing so that we have all these different types of phrasing that we can play without thinking. That way we won't get lost, okay? Let me show you how to do this, okay? The easiest way to build phrasing is to think of it like Lego blocks, right? You don't want to play like one giant 16-bar phrase. It's easy to get lost in that. But if you play 4 1-bar phrases and then 2 2-bar phrases, that makes 8 bars, right? And so it's easier to find your way through it if you break it into smaller chunks like that, but you have to have the feeling of how long a phrase is, okay? So for example, start by playing a 1-bar phrase, like at this tempo, right? Something like this, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, that's 1 bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, 1 bar. This is also a 1 bar. Right? Those are all 1-bar phrases. And if you do that a bunch of times, you're gonna feel kind of how long those phrases are. And the next step is to start to stitch them together. So can I play 4 1-bar phrases in a row? Right? You can hear that has kind of a cadence to it, or almost, I like to call it like a rhyme scheme. Like it's like ba ba da ba. It's almost like when you're doing a poem, like bippity boppity boo. The cat jumped over the shoe, right? Flippy floppity flap. The cat put on a hat, right? It's different words, but it's the same rhyme scheme. That's really what phrasing is, okay? So. Right? You're hearing that I'm starting on all sorts of different beats, I'm using different subdivisions, but the phrasing, the underlying phrasing is the same. Now, at the very beginning, you'll notice that I was leaving space at the end of each phrase, something like this. Right? I'm leaving like beat 4 open, or I'm ending on beat 3 or the and of 3 or something like that. That's really good to do at the beginning because it gives your brain a little bit of space where you can figure out what beat you're on, what the phrase is, and then once later you get more comfortable with it, then you can leave less space, something like this. Right? You can still hear that I'm changing my phrasing each bar by using different subdivisions, but you don't necessarily have to leave space like that. It's just good to do at the very beginning so you can get used to thinking about your phrasing. Now that we've got a 1-bar phrase down, the next thing to do is to try a 2-bar phrase. All right, there's a 2-bar phrase. Here's another one. Another 2-bar phrase. Here's another one. Right? All sorts of different ways that I can play it, but that length of the 2-bar phrase is really what makes it. Now, before we did 4 1-bar phrases in a row to make a 4-bar phrase. Now I'm going to do 2 2-bar phrases in a row to make a 4-bar phrase. Right? Boom! That's a 4-bar phrase, but you can feel it has a different rhyme scheme than the initial one. That's what 2-bar phrases feel like, right? There I'm even changing some of the ideas, but you can still feel when the 2-bar phrases start and stop. Right? That's 2-bar phrases. Now, one thing I do want to caution you against when you're working on these 2-bar phrases is you want to try to avoid just playing 2 1-bar phrases and calling that a 2-bar phrase. So something like this. Right? That's really just 2 1-bar phrases. Or if you did something like this. Right? you're just repeating a one-bar phrase, which is fine. Of course, musically you can do that. But again, here we're trying to build different ways to phrase so that we have like a bunch of arrows in our quiver when it comes time to solo, okay? So try to play something that it's a continuous idea that goes all the way through 2 bars. Right? That's a continuous idea. Another way is to go over the bar line. So don't play beat 1 of the second bar, or don't accent it. Right? Good 3/4 vibe there. Right? That is a really good way to make a 2-bar phrase, is by obscuring beat 1 of the second bar so it doesn't sound like 2 one-bar phrases. Okay? So once you got 1-bar phrases down, you got 2-bar phrases down. We don't want to just play the same 1-bar phrase over and over again, right? That wouldn't make for a very exciting jazz solo. Just like if you played the same lick or the same solo idea over and over again, that wouldn't make an exciting jazz solo, right? And by the way, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, this is how you figure out the phrasing, but I don't have any good jazz licks. Or like, Jameson, where'd you come up with all that stuff? Or like, I need to know other stuff like comping, I need to know tunes. Like, I'm scared to even go to a jam session because, you know, I don't know everything I need to know to actually get up there and feel confident. Well, I can't cover all of that in this video, but that is what I work on with my students. Everything you need to become a complete jazz musician. Everything from comping, soloing, transcribing, learning tunes, how to interact with other musicians, how to book your first gigs, how to start your own band, how to write your own music, really everything that you need to do. That's what we do at the Jazz School. If you're interested in studying with me more closely, click the link in the description and you can get more information on how to do that and book a call with me, okay? Now, let's talk about mixing phrasing, right? Because just like we don't want to use the same idea, we don't want to use the same phrasing all the time, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I've internalized what a 2-bar phrase feels like. I've internalized what a 1-bar phrase feels like. I'm going to start to mix them together, okay? So here I'm going to do a 2-bar phrase and then 2 1-bar phrases like this, okay? Right? There you go. Let's do another one. Right? You can feel it. Right? It's these Lego blocks. We're putting them together. We can put them together in any way because we figured out what they feel like. Here's another 2 1 1. All right? Boom. I can get through a solo playing like that, okay? Another way we could play this is by switching it. Go 1 1 2. Right? You can feel that phrasing. Right? So now, not only do I have 1-bar phrases and 2-bar phrases, but I have the ability to switch back and forth between them, okay? Now, the next thing, the next Lego block to build here is it's kind of like when you're building one of the spaceships. It's like you build the wing, you build the landing gear, you build the little guy that goes in it, right? And then you put those bigger chunks together. Because after all, you do want to be able to get through a whole maybe 16-bar solo, right? So something like Doxy, a tune like that, right? And to do that, you have to take these 4-bar chunks of 2 1 1 and put those together to make a longer solo. This is really how you get good at soloing over longer forms. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play all of the variations that we played at the beginning just in a row, right? I'm going to go 1 1 1 1, right? And then 2 2, and then 2 1 1, and then 1 1 2. And that'll be a 16-bar chorus of solo. Let's give it a go. 1 2 1 2 3. There you go. Let's do one more like that. So you can see all sorts of different vocabulary, but I kept the rhyme scheme relatively the same. And what do you know? I got through a 16 bar solo every single time without getting lost, and it's very expressive, okay? So I'll tell you the last step here. If this feels a little stale, right? A little, rudimentary, or it feels like, kind of stiff, that's okay. This is an exercise to develop your sense of phrasing. And the last step I always give every single one of my students at the jazz school is to just play. Just don't think about this stuff. Because when you get up there, you don't want to be thinking. You don't want to be calculating how many bars, right? That's why we practice it like this, because we want to train our sense of intuition so that when we get on stage, we have intuition that we can trust because we've trained it. That's exactly how it works. So the last step is to just play however you play and see how it comes out with 1 bar and 2 bar phrases. I'm going to do that right now. 1, 2, 3. Cool, that's it for today's video. If you found this video interesting, you'll probably find this next one interesting. I'll see you on the flippy flop.